Hey guys, this is Anan, and in this video I want to talk a little bit about basically just taking what red gives you in a battle. In a lot of my videos I'm running around like crazy or relocating quite a bit, talking about awareness, which is always important. But it's also important to keep in mind that once you are in a defensive and advantageous position, there's no reason just to go move for the sake of moving. It's very important to kind of pay attention to what's going on in the map and see if moving is going to be in your best interests or if it's going to be best to hold a position. So I have 3 games where holding a position really made a lot more sense, even in places where it's not super common. So we're on Black Goldville in Type 59. I'm platooned with Canuck Mastiff. We're going up to caves, like we pretty much always do in a kind of hold down tank. Our team is splitting up, which we don't like to see, but I mean, we all know that we see that quite a bit. So coming up over this ridge, because I know I can use the gun depression to hold tanks back. Also peeking in to see what tanks on the red side made it down to kind of the base area. And already we've got the 34 peeking out, probably because our tanks in town actually drew some attention since none of us up top had been spotted yet. It makes this 34 turn around, which allows us to get some nice quick shots on him. You can see we've got 2 green tanks behind us giving us support, which is obviously pretty great, especially as split up as both teams are. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the map. It lets me see that it's 3 on at least 3 down by the cap circle, but probably more than that since red tank is now capping. So we're just going to work this 34 using the gun depression and angles. It's too early in the game, so we're trying not to take a lot of damage. Mastiff has taken a few too many shots here, so he bails out to go to the other side so that now I can go ahead and pop down to circle him. The 59 is not necessarily the best circling tank, but luckily the 34 misfires and can take him out. We're down 1 tank at this point because they're clearly being overrun down at base, and we can see that we only have 1 green tank down at base, so we're definitely not going to go screaming all the way down in there. I do go out of the cave area to finish off this KV-4 because it would be a top tier tank to get rid of, especially because I can peek over and see that we lost our last green tank down around base, so it's important to go ahead and try not to be down too many tanks here. So again, use that circling action. Also, try not to be overexposed to the base area, so I'm not going to take too many shots because I know that the base tanks have me spotted. So now we're definitely down. We're down 3 to 5. It's a tough situation to be in. We're chatting on Discord, so I'm yelling at Mastiff to stay at the caves because this is, at this point in the map, the most defendable position we have. I've got a T-44 that's full health, I'm full health, and Mastiff is halfway. So even though we're down 2 tanks, by using the cover and the high ground, we have a much better chance of winning this map. So the 44 picks up on it. He plays this whole game really nicely, actually, provides a lot of help. Now the best thing that red actually could have done here was to cap and draw us down because they had the numbers advantage, but since they don't, knowing that they're up 2 tanks, they feel like they can come take us. So we're just going to use all these ridge lines to pick them off as they come up. It's kind of 2-on-1. I'm covering this right side while Mastiff and the 44 are covering that left side. So we can keep it pretty balanced. I know there's a Type 59 also on their side. Red's still alive, and worried about him, which now I can see pop up on the mini-map. He's to my right, but has tough angles, so I want to get this big gun of the Tiger that's got himself exposed before I kind of switch angles. I know the guys on the left have this handled right now. Take a shot from the 59, but I know exactly where he is, so I can back off a little bit. I can see that our 2 tanks are fully defended, so it lets me really kind of work on this right side. I peek over just because that Tiger 1 is scooting up, and the 44 hoping to get a couple cheap shots on him because that 59 wasn't rushing. Now he does rush up, so I have to turn around, don't have a choice. It's my job to hold him off. so that my teammates can handle that left side, which they get the 44, which is great. I'm just trying to keep that that front plate nice and angled, which he gets my tracks. I also know at this point, because I've gotten 2 bounces out of him, he's probably going to be switching to APCR, and sure enough, it would have been a pretty tough shot if he didn't use that. So just keeping an eye on the Comet, because I'm kind of worried he's going to sneak up behind me. And now I have team support, so the 59 backs off again. Using APCR just pretty much any time we're down as many tanks as we were, just because we need to get this win. Mastiff dies, which starts to make me a little bit more concerned, especially with the Comet. So just trying to keep good tabs on it. Getting this 59 would pretty much give us a win, so that's why I'm really staying 100% focused on him. Take the time, get the nice shot. Up 2-1, or finally tied back at 2-2, so I can swing back around because they're both focused up. The 44 buddy gets the Tiger 1, and then we can come in and get the Comet with the ram kill. So, like I said, good example. When we were down 2 tanks, streaming down into open ground in the base area to try and chase them or save our dying tanks, probably wouldn't have saved that game for us. But by going back up to the high ground and really maintaining that spot throughout the entire game, led us to take on red as they came up. Obviously a nice mastery, a good carry on our part. Add in the 44, and the 3 of us really took care of that game. Okay, and now I'm in my E75 on Falls Creek running solo, doing what I always do and going to the base area. I asked the team to all do that at the beginning, but you can see where 5 stayed up at bridge. Never enjoy fighting at bridge, but now that clearly red has some tanks on the cap circle, it's going to be our job to keep them from capping. I didn't know at the time that's kind of where this battle was going to take place, but it just kind of worked out that way. Red didn't really force my hand, and I wasn't going to give it to him. So, coming up into the circle, obviously have 2 tanks fighting for cap. They backed out when the Leo that came my way pushed them a little bit. So I'm just going to work my way into the circle. My goal almost never is to cap, but it doesn't mean that I can't fight from that area. 32 is turned away because he's trying to snipe my team up at the bridge, because I can see from the map that some of them have bailed out, some have popped down into the river, some are trying to crest. So just from that layout, I have a pretty strong confidence that they are going to get overwhelmed. Again, I'm in a slow tank, so there's no way I'm going to go help them. And even so, that would just add to the misery, because I can see the life of those tanks, and it's the hit point pool is shrinking pretty dramatically. Get a couple missed shots in here, just unfortunate. But we're already down 3 tanks. At this point in the battle, because I'm nearing 50, I'm not opposed to capping, but I know not really to count on it. I'm just using all this cover to take shots. Unfortunately, several misses in here, just kind of what works. Trying to get any shot I can, not really a good angle. Now we're getting close to 70, and my team is really not doing well because they decided to go fight that bridge area. That I'm certainly okay with capping, just to take the win. So I'm trying to keep this 54 out, get in a side scrape here, but a little overextended, and he gets that HE shot into my mantlet. So resets cap, and so now I honestly don't care about cap at all. Just using all these angles to side scrape, mostly because the E75 has this great side scraping ability. And it still seems like most of the red team isn't paying too much attention to me. Now we finally have it only down 1 tank, which is a huge step up from where we were before. We're all kind of congregated around the base area, so we're allowed to kind of hull up and get defensive at this point. Again, just by recognizing that the bridge was going to lose, allowed us to kind of come together here. By trying to run around, we had mostly slow tanks, we wouldn't have been able to really help them, so it was better off to form up again and mount a strong defense and pick them off as they come across the water. Getting shots on the object, but again, just trying to keep good angles all the time. STI is working his way around, and my last help dies. Down 2 tanks, have that full health STI. The object I know is a one-shot and is my primary concern because that's the biggest gun. The STI I know I can get some nice face hugging done on, so I let the STI go by just so I can focus and get that object who bounces off of me anyway. I know there's another tank out there, but I'm kind of hoping he's AFK at this point, because one-on-one I can probably handle the STI just by staying nice and close to him. Switch to APCR because I'm still down a tank, no clue the health or location of the other one that's left. So just going to stay nice and face-hugged, backing off to get my shots. Now the other tank comes in, and it turns out is a full health Centurion 1. Wouldn't be a threat if this was one-on-one, but as you can see, he's just swinging around to work on my back. So I'm going to keep focus on the main threat here, which is the STI, especially since I have him down to a one-shot. The Centurion makes a mistake by leaving my backside and coming exposed. So now it's just a point of staying face-to-face and not letting him circle me again. I certainly don't have great traverse speed with the tracks damaged, but get a nice shot into his tracks. And now it's just kind of a matter of time to get this loaded again. So another example of just not letting red force my hand to dictate what's going to happen. I was in an advantageous position with the side scraping. My team died where they weren't supposed to be, so I just held that position and let them come to me and stayed defensive kind of throughout the win. So another nice mastery. Bounced a ton of shots because of the side scraping ability of the E75, and really let us pull out that win just by not panicking and fighting from the position that made the most sense. For the last game, I am platooned with one of our newest store members in the M46 Patton on Canal. I've done several videos with the Patton already, so you guys know how I like to use it. I like to work ridge lines, use that gun depression, really kind of take advantage of the attributes of this tank. So on Canal, I pretty much always like to go to this corner, and because it gives us a lot of ridgeline options. When I spawn on this side, I would say 99% of the time I come and sit in these 2 bushes at the beginning of the map, or at the beginning of the battle, because frequently the red mediums will come screaming across there to get to the extreme corner, and I can shoot them as they go by. And it doesn't happen this time. They're clearly setting up, probably more for town. This 44 kind of sacrifice, kind of YOLOs out to us, so we can go up with tank, which is pretty fantastic. Our team's coming to help, which is good. They don't always like to come this direction with heavies, but we're setting up in a good way. They're just taking their time. So I'm going to pop up here just to get a little bit of spotting in and find out where red is, and realize that they had been camping over here. And this is pretty much where I'm going to set up for the rest of the battle. I could run around and get all sorts of different angles, but with the gun depression on the Patton and the way all this grass and bushes work, I can pop up, get shots, pop back down again. I get to spot several more of their team here, so now we've got 5 of their 6 spotted, know exactly where they are. I'm letting my team catch up a little bit while letting red just kind of get in positions that lets me shoot them. That J Panther 2 and the E50 are clearly focused on me, so I plan on using that to my advantage. The Patton doesn't have the thickest armor on the turret, but it gets a lot of bounces because of the angling. So I'm just only going to expose that, trying to keep them spotted, because again, mostly what I'm doing right now is letting our team catch up, so I have someone else to kind of eat a few shots for me. I'm a medium, so I don't need to just be taking shot after shot. But I'm not running around, not doing anything crazy. See the 32 snuck around behind us, but most of our team is to the right, and he's not pushing hard, so I'm going to let him go at the moment, because I'm keeping most of red spotted for our team, while just kind of popping over, taking shots, running right back down again. No need to flank them, because we're winning this battle. They're not flanking us. I'm just going to use the advantages that we have already going for us in this battle, which is the great gun depression, the hills, some natural camo, and the fact that we've got them outnumbered by 1, and they're taking damage, so they tend to keep backing up also. See, the T-30 kills one of our tanks, and that's the one I don't know where he is. I'd love to know, but I assume just from the angles that he's kind of to the center, or maybe to the left, hanging back quite a bit and sniping. So again, working very, very slowly. No need to rush because we're winning this battle. Get that J-Panther, which I was really happy to get just because he was clearly extremely focused on me through most of the battle. And so that just means I don't have to worry about it. The E-50 sneaks up, which is pretty ill-advised because he knows where I am, unless he forgot or thought I moved. Now it's just kind of yellowing out, so we're going to get rid of another big gun. Back up 1, but we've got at least 1 tank swimming down in the river, so he's only going to be so much help at this point. But that object is there, so I want to pop over and take care of that big gun. Finally, that T-30 shows up and smacks me, but I know exactly where he is now, and so I don't have to worry. I thought the IS-8 was turned, that's why I made this rush. But either way, it's not a super ill-advised rush because we can take that out, and now it's down to 1 tank. So know exactly where the T-30 is, 4 guns facing him, and a nice little win. So obviously Red's unhappy there, but they didn't really put themselves in a defensive position. Sitting next to those rail cars works for a while, or works for 1 or 2 tanks, but in the end they're pretty exposed, and it lets us kill them by working the ridge lines. So another good example, another good outcome. I didn't do anything extreme there at all, just stayed patient, worked the advantages that Red gave us by not pushing us one direction or another, and came out on top. So, hope you enjoyed.